Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Naninga Koi for those of you who don't know me. Welcome to my channel where I'm basically a fashion enthusiast, beauty enthusiast, makeup enthusiast, and everything enthusiast that has to do with fashion and makeup. So you'll find accessories, clothing, shoes, hauls, and that kind of thing on this channel. But we're not here for that today. I'm not here to market myself today, but definitely hit the subscribe button before you leave this video because I do good content. Yes. Yeah, so guys, today I'm going to talk to you about how I normally conceal or how I normally use concealer, not how I normally conceal, because you might confuse that with how I normally conceal dark spots, but actually how I normally use concealer. Yes, how I normally use concealer. And these are 5 ways that I normally use concealer. For those of you, you can just ignore the way the hair is standing. This wig was a bit yeah, but how I normally use concealer, 5 ways I normally use concealer. For those of you who've been watching my makeup videos, you normally see that I always use concealer for very many things. So let's just start with the first one, and I think I'll be inserting a little box here to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, so welcome to my channel, and don't forget, oh dear, you know, sometimes these mishaps happen. Am I gonna cut it? I don't know. But so the first way that I normally use concealer, and this is the most common way that I normally use it, like I'll never miss to do this step, is actually defining my brows. Now I'm an African. Yes, that has got to do something with defining brows, because as an African, my skin is dark, which makes my hairs the same color as my skin, so they are not visible. So what do I normally do, and what do I mean by defining? I normally use concealer to basically outline the eyebrows. Yeah, as you can see from right there, I normally use concealer to outline the eyebrows such that you do not have to they don't have to hide behind your skin color, so they become more visible. And for this case, what do I mean by defining them? I mean that I normally use a lighter concealer so that they can be more visible. So I outline my eyebrows with a lighter concealer so that my eyebrows can be more visible because they're the same color as my skin tone. Yes, so that is the first way that I normally use concealer. And as you can see, I'm using an LBROW Conceal Concealer because it normally has a tiny brush at the end of it so that it makes like the defining much easier. But you can also use another type of concealer with just a makeup brush. Yes. The second way that I normally use concealer is actually as an eyeshadow primer. What is a primer? A primer is something that usually you apply before you apply something else. So an eyeshadow primer is something that you actually apply on your eyelids before you put eyeshadow. That is what an eyeshadow primer is. And if you don't have a commercial eyeshadow primer, you can definitely use a concealer as an eyeshadow primer. The purpose of an eyeshadow primer is usually to make your eyeshadow last longer and to make it adhere to your skin, or basically so that it can last longer. Like if you rub your eyes, like don't rub your eyes when you have eyeshadow, but it won't come off, or if you sweat, it will not come off, or just day-to-day activities, it won't come off. So that is the purpose of an eyeshadow primer. And as I've said, if you do not have a commercial eyeshadow primer, you can definitely use a concealer and make sure that it's kind of a few shades lighter also, so that the eyeshadow can be visible, because most of the time our dark skin normally hides eyeshadow colors. So using a lighter concealer will make the eyeshadow colors visible. Yes, and as you saw from the clip, I'm actually using a Maybelline concealer for this step as an eyeshadow. Concealer is actually to hide spots. Now, this is the actual purpose of a concealer, to hide dark areas. As the word says, conceal. You know the meaning of conceal? Conceal is to hide. So basically its target was actually, that's why there are different colors of concealers. Like there's green concealers, there's red concealers, and they all target different things. But in my case, like this normal brown concealer that I'm using, I can just use it to hide dark spots or to hide dark circles, which I'm actually doing. I'm using it to hide dark circles. Like my age, I definitely have like dark under eye circles, so I normally apply concealer so that it can actually hide the dark under eye circles and make my skin brighter, because youthful skin or teenager skin, although we really can't look like teenagers, can we, unless you're a teenager. Teenager skin tends to be lighter right here. Yeah, it tends to be lighter right here. Yeah, so we want to look like that. Yeah, so basically that is what I'm using for this the third way that I normally use concealer, to hide dark under eye circles and to hide dark spots. Although I normally don't really do it mostly for dark spots, I just use it for the dark under eye circles. But dark areas like shadows here, you know, we don't want to look like we have a mustache. That is bad. We don't want to look like we have a mustache, so we just kind of like hide the dark way that I normally use concealer, not eyeshadow, sorry. The fourth way that I normally use concealer is actually as a, what is it called, as a highlighter. Now, there are cream highlighters that you can actually use for this step, but I personally normally use a concealer because, yeah, it can do the same thing. So there are commercial highlighters, as I've said, that can actually highlight your face, like, yeah, your nose bridge, your forehead, and again, these areas here, I'm basically highlighting them. I want them to be more visible than my cheekbones, because my cheekbones, if they look more visible, I look very fatter. So although I know I'm skinny, but as in, you get the point. Like basically highlighting is just making the area more visible than the rest of the face, the same way you normally highlight your cheekbones right here with highlighter. So I'm using a concealer, and again, a lighter shade of concealer is what I'm using specifically so that I can make the areas more visible to my face, more pronounced than the other areas of my face. So you can definitely use concealer as a highlight, cream highlighter. Final way that I normally use concealer, although I normally don't use this method frequently, is actually as a lip primer. And what do I mean by a lip primer? As I said before when I was talking about the eyeshadow primer, a primer is something that you apply before you apply something else. So for eyeshadow, it was apply the eyeshadow. For lip, it's before you apply your lipstick. Now, this is just, I normally use the concealer specifically just to create an even base. What do I mean by an even base? Like an even skin tone on my lips, because lips can sometimes be patchy. The lips can be different shades, like one side is dark, one side is light, and you know, it just becomes messy when you apply lipstick. So you can actually apply concealer. I saw this on TikTok, but the person was using foundation, and that's what prompted me to actually use concealer. The person was using foundation like as a lipstick, not even as a primer, as a lipstick. So I just thought, why not use it as a lip primer, like just to create an even surface. And what I can tell you is that I personally, when I use this method, I normally apply a very, very thin layer of the concealer, because if you apply a very thick layer, it's going to form, you know, what is it called? It's going to be uneven. Yes, and you have to apply a very thin layer, wait for it to dry before you apply. I don't know how it will perform actually when you use cream lipsticks. It might not perform well, but I personally normally use this step with liquid lipsticks that dry down to a matte finish. So yeah, that is basically how I normally use my concealers, and I hope that you get as much use out of your concealers, because concealer is something that doesn't end quickly, unlike foundation. Foundation tends to end quickly because you use a lot of it, and also it can save you money if you don't have lip primers, you know, eyeshadow primers, cream highlighters, and you know, all other things that I've just mentioned. So definitely this is like a cost saving video, and I hope that you've gotten something. And I'll see you in my next video. If you've gotten something from this video, don't forget to like it. Make sure you like it, guys. And also don't forget to subscribe. The subscribe button is down below. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.